Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Right from the beginning of American Pickers, Danielle Colby was special. It wasn't just her tattoos or cool clothes that made her different. While Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz drove around looking for old things and cool treasures, Danielle was the one keeping everything running smoothly. She wasn't just answering phone calls. She was making plans, staying organized, and basically keeping the whole thing working. She looked for tips, planned picking trips, found people to sell things to, made deals, and talked to customers. Everything about running the show went through her. That shop counter wasn't just for looks. It was like the main control room. But even though Danielle was the backbone of antique archaeology, people often saw her as just the cool girl at the front desk. Viewers saw her funny jokes and rock style, but they didn't see how much work she did when the cameras weren't rolling. She had to deal with crazy filming schedules, long work days, and the stress of being on TV and representing not just herself, but the whole brand on national television. What most fans don't know is that Danielle wasn't some actress hired by TV people. She was Mike Wolf's real friend, someone he trusted to help build the business before American Pickers was even popular. They had been friends for years before they became famous. But as the show got really popular, that early friendship and simple feelings started to change. TV producers wanted more rules, more screen time, more drama with the characters. And right in the middle of it all, Danielle started to feel torn between who she really was and what the cameras wanted her to be. She said once in an interview, "I didn't sign up to pretend to be someone else. I was just being myself." That realness made her a fan favorite, but behind the scenes it also made her really tired and stressed out. The Danielle we saw on TV was real, but it was only a small part of a much bigger woman who was fighting to stay true to herself in a world that wanted to make her into just a TV character. Danielle Colby was never just someone who answered phones. She's always lived her life like it was art, loud, full of feeling, and never sorry about it. While American Pickers made her famous, it only showed a tiny bit of the real Danielle. Behind those tattooed arms and tough look is someone who loves art and history. Using the name Danny Diesel, she built a really successful burlesque career, bringing back old-time dance with historical facts and modern excitement. She collected 100-year-old costumes, studied forgotten performers, and traveled around with a message about women being strong. Her love for performing wasn't just a hobby, it was part of who she was. She's also a serious business owner, making a clothing line inspired by old styles, fixing up forgotten fashion pieces, and selling art that mixes punk style with historical respect. But TV never showed this side of her. Producers wanted Danielle the shop girl, not Danielle the woman with many different talents. She said once in an interview, "People think I'm just the girl behind the counter. That's maybe only 10% of who I really am." Being put in a box like this really hurt her. The more American Pickers got popular, the more Danielle felt like she was disappearing. The show gave her a way to be seen, but not the full freedom to show who she really was. By 2015, Danielle Colby was exhausted, not just from work, but from feeling invisible. The pressure never stopped. Producers wanted smiles and attitude. Fans wanted her to reply to them and show up places, and social media became both a spotlight and a wear zone. She was managing her store visits, filming schedules, mean comments online, and her personal interests all at the same time. Messages turned mean and nasty. People online criticized how she looked, questioned what she did, and said her skills didn't matter. It wasn't about the work she did. It was about who she was allowed to be. Danielle slowly started to pull back. Her once bright social media posts became less frequent. She said no to interviews. She hinted that she might leave the show completely. Friends closer to her say she fought with the show's direction, especially how much of her real personality was ignored. In her own words, "Fame is supposed to give you freedom. But sometimes it's like a pretty decorated prison." This wasn't just being tired from work. It was a moment where she had to choose between her identity, her art, and her survival. Danielle didn't quit, but she changed her path. She demanded balance. She took back her time, and she built places where her whole self could grow. She negotiated contracts that gave her more flexibility for filming. She put herself into her burlesque group, traveling, and making her own shows. Herald-style clothing line became successful, praised for being real and having edge, and she became a strong voice for loving your body and women being powerful, especially in spaces where men usually run everything. Danielle also talked openly about mental health, publicly sharing her struggles and how she stayed strong. She turned her fan base into a group of support, not just people who liked a celebrity. Fans didn't just see her as a reality star anymore, they saw her as someone who creates things, someone who survived hard times, and a woman with a strong purpose. And that more than being famous became what people remembered her for. Danielle Colby's biggest challenge wasn't just the camera. It was the culture around her. The car and picking world has always been controlled by men. And for every fan who praised her style or smarts, there were others who dismissed her as just a TV trick or worse, treated her like an object without recognizing what she contributed. Early in American Pickers, she faced doubt not because of her skills but because of how she looked. Tattoos? Not professional. Burlesque? Too risky. Strong personality? Too much. But Danielle wasn't asking for permission. She was taking her place at the table and refusing to make herself smaller. She took the criticism and turned it into energy. She started hosting events celebrating women in old-style culture. She used her platform to shine light on female artists, creators, and pickers. She started a campaign to help survivors of domestic violence, something very personal to her. Behind the makeup and glamour is a fighter. She stood up for herself and others over and over again. And over the years, the industry started to pay attention. She didn't change to fit what others wanted. She changed what others wanted. Women who once felt unseen in the world of antiques, cars, and collecting found someone to look up to in Danielle. She proved you can wear high heels and use a blowtorch. You can be girly and fearless, and you can lead even when the room pretends not to see you. While Danielle was making her way through national television, burlesque stages, and business life, there was another thing keeping her steady: her family. A mother of two, Danielle has always been open about how important her children are to her journey. She said in interviews that her biggest goal has always been to be someone her kids could be proud of, not because of being famous, but because of being real. Raising children while filming a major show was really hard. There were days she'd fly home from filming just to make it to a school event, nights spent finishing paperwork after putting her kids to bed, and always balancing being a public person and being a private mom. Her daughter Memphis has followed her creative path while Danielle's son stays quiet in her life, respected and protected from the spotlight. Danielle has talked about how being a mother shaped what was important to her, gave her clarity, and kept her grounded when fame tried to pull her away from herself. There were even times when she thought about leaving American Pickers completely just to get back time, space, and stability. In a world obsessed with the next big thing, Danielle chose to think long-term, showing up for the people who matter most. Danielle Colby is no longer just the woman from American Pickers. She's become her own brand, a symbol of being strong, starting over, and expressing yourself without apologies. While she still appears on the show sometimes, it's no longer her whole world. She splits her time between Puerto Rico and the mainland, runs her businesses, and continues traveling with her burlesque company. She's become more outspoken, especially about social issues including men and women being equal, mental health, and artistic freedom. She's also expanded her businesses, starting educational programs about old costume history, organizing art shows, and helping young women in the performing arts. And while the TV spotlight may go away eventually, Danielle has built something far more lasting: being real. Her fans don't follow her just because of the show. They follow her because she represents freedom, the freedom to create, to speak, to exist without giving up who you are. She isn't asking to be remembered. She's living a life worth remembering. Long before millions knew her as the fierce desk queen of American Pickers, Danielle Colby was building confidence and community under a different spotlight: the burlesque stage. Performing under the name Danny Diesel, Danielle found more than just a love for dance. She found herself. Burlesque to Danielle isn't just about performing. It's about taking back power. It's a space where she and others can express who they are, their sexuality, pain, and power on their own terms. She's often said that while reality TV showed one polished layer of her personality, burlesque let her be raw, vulnerable, and completely human. She built the Burlesque Lamac group from nothing, creating dances, designing costumes, and teaching new performers. Her performances blend old-time style with modern activism, mixing history, empowerment, and spectacle into one glitter-covered art form. It was on that stage, not behind the TV desk, that Danielle truly found her voice. Through burlesque, she's spoken out about loving your body, surviving abuse, female strength, and the right to be loud without apology in a world that likes women to be quiet. She's not performing for TV ratings. She's performing for Elise, for truth, and for every woman watching from the shadows, wondering if she's allowed to shine. Fame didn't change Danielle Colby the way it changes most people. It made her better. While the TV spotlight gave her a platform, it also showed her the darker sides of public life. She faced online bullies, pushy questions, and was often reduced to just her looks. There were moments when the pressure of being constantly visible almost broke her, but Danielle chose to transform instead of hide. She became pickier about her appearances, more honest in interviews, more careful with her art. Rather than give in, she dug deeper into the person she wanted to become. She used her visibility to help causes she believed in, raising money for disaster relief in Puerto Rico, supporting businesses run by women, and even stepping in to help survivors of human trafficking. And instead of chasing popularity, she chased meaning. She often reminds fans, the most important work you do is the work you do on yourself. Today, she's still growing, aging gracefully, creating fiercely, and living authentically. Her fame is no longer tied to a show. It's tied to a message. Be bold, be honest, be you. Danielle Colby never planned to be a reality TV star. But through grit, grace, and raw truth, she's built a legacy that will outlive the cameras. She represents something rare in television. Integrity. She didn't play a role. She lived her truth. She didn't chase fame. She stood still and let her work speak for her. And she didn't break under the pressure. She grew stronger because of it. Today, her legacy isn't just the pics she helped find or the cars that rolled through antique archaeology. It's in the young women who watched her refuse to make herself smaller. The artists she empowered. The silence she broke with each dance, each interview, each act of rebellion dressed as grace. Danielle Colby reminds us that behind every seemingly simple character on screen is a layered, complex, powerful human being. One who fought to be seen on her own terms. She almost walked away, but instead she walked taller. And that's what legacy looks like. Truth that keeps standing, even when no one's watching.